Yo, what's up guys, we're back and I'm going to be doing a breakdown and predictions video this week for the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, week 6. Most of the time I've been putting these out on the Patreon, so if you like this content, definitely make sure to check out the Patreon because I do put out video and written content for Dana White Contender Series and promotions outside the UFC that's similar to this. So if you'll enjoy this, you'll definitely like what's on the Patreon. And also I'm going to have a couple bets for this event that I'm not going to share on this video, so if you want access to those bets, definitely go to patreon.com/MMApredictionguru. But I'm going to be back, I believe tomorrow, or if at the latest Tuesday, to do the UFC France breakdown. But I'm going to give you guys this breakdown right now with this first fight. I'm going to start the main event, and it's Yusaka Kinoshita. He's going to be taking on Jose Henrique. And with Yusaka, he's an awesome athlete. He's fast, he's powerful, well-rounded fighter. And I've seen him get knockouts with punches and knees. Also, I've seen him hit takedowns and get submissions. And he's been dominant in pretty much all the fights I've watched outside of his one loss where he still, in my opinion, won the fight but got disqualified. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But he did face a little bit of adversity in that fight. But on the feet, Kinoshita, he likes to have a wide stance, dart in, dart out, kind of similar to a lot of those Japanese fighters, kind of the Kyoji Horiguchi kind of striking style. And he's good at feinting, closes distance really quickly with the crosses, with the power hooks. And I've seen him have big power. He's knock guys out. He has good clinch knees as well. And he does a good job closing distance, getting in the clinch, landing a big knee. And I've seen him get knockouts with his knees also. In this fight, I think he should attack the body more with the crosses because Henrique is a really tall guy, long torso. And I think that Kinoshita can definitely land some pretty good body shots. He isn't a very active kicker, but when he does mix in his kicks, he'll throw real heavy round kicks, front kicks to the body, to the head. And this will be a new matchup for him because in the fights that I've seen, I haven't seen anyone that's been taller than him. He's 6 foot, which is a okay size for 170, but I believe he's a little bit small for the weight, whereas Henrique is 6'5". This is going to be his first fight at 170, coming down from 185 pounds. I think the advantages that Kinoshita has, though, are the speed, and I think he has a power edge. But he needs to avoid exchanging too much. Needs to avoid being a little bit wild and getting ran into counters. Use lateral movement. Be the guy that goes second. Try to pull Henrique into the crosses, the hooks, and maybe time a couple takedowns or some clinch control. I haven't really seen Kinoshita get any takedowns outside of the body lock, which I think will be tough against a really tall opponent, though. So I'm not sure if he's going to be as effective with his wrestling here, but when he's gotten on top, he's had good back takes. I've seen him show pretty good ground and pound. And if he can get Henrique to the ground, he probably will have an advantage there. And he's confident. His one loss, like I said earlier, he lost, but it was a bit of a weird ending. Like in Japan over there, I can't remember if it was Pancrase or what promotion it was, Ryzen maybe, but obviously kicks to the head on the ground, stomps are legal. And Kinoshita won the fight by knockout. I mean, he stomped this guy's head in pretty brutally, but he was grabbing the cage while he was throwing the stomps, so they came and disqualified him. So kind of a weird fight. But in that fight, Kinoshita did run into a little bit of counters, and he got his back taken at one point, got taken down a couple of times. And that was against an 18-7 fighter. So it was a good experienced guy, but he, in that fight, showed probably the most vulnerability he's ever had, which is giving his back to stand up and running into some counters. All his other fights, he's just completely ran through all his guys. But with Jose Henrique, I was only able to find his last 2 fights. All of his fights have been in Brazil, and his last opponent, I would say, was probably his first real credible opponent. Obviously, he has really good physical attributes. He's going to be gigantic if he can make welterweight safely. He's going to be, I believe, the tallest welterweight in the UFC if he gets a contract. And super young, so I definitely think that him being 19, 20, and Kinoshita being 22, with both these guys traveling over to the United States for the first time, there may be a little bit of a drop-off in their performance for either guy potentially, but Jose Henrique is a technical fighter. He's impressive for his age. He's pretty good at controlling the center, and even though in his last fight he did get pushed back, he will stay long and mostly prefers to counter-strike long 1-2s. He's really good at staying active with the body shots. He'll attack the body with hooks and crosses. He keeps the range and maintains distance pretty well. And when he gets confident, that's when he'll go forward. He'll start to end his combinations, the 1-2s with front kicks up the middle, big knees up the middle, high kicks, And he's super tough and proved that even further in his last fight. He got rocked, but he was able to stick in there, showed a good chin and willingness to brawl. And he has good hooks, pretty good elbows on the inside. His pace and pressure is also very impressive. He doesn't slow down, so that's another factor that he has to his advantage against a lot of bigger guys. And he's just a super long-range Terminator, man. He's not going to slow down for 15 minutes. He's going to rip your body, come back up to the head. I haven't really seen much grappling or wrestling from Enrique, and he does stand tall. And I feel with his height and the way that he pressures forward at times, fighters probably will be able to get it on his hips and take him down pretty easily. I don't know about his jiu-jitsu level, but he has decent grappling skills. His length should pose some issues for opponents. If anything, it should nullify a lot of their offense. And Enrique will also, I believe, struggle against pressure fighters. We saw him get rocked in the pocket in his last fight, even though he showed some toughness and was able to throw back. He's always going to be at a disadvantage with his length against, shorter, compact guys in that close range. And he does leave some openings to be hit for sure as well. Honestly, I feel like this fight is one of the closer fights on the card. I don't really agree with the line being minus 200 for Kinoshita. I would actually line it a lot closer, and I think Enrique has some value. But, I believe that overall, I think Kinoshita has a big speed advantage. And if he can get in and out, land his power counters, he could get Enrique a little bit gun shy and kind of pull away by having the superior power and not letting Enrique get that pressure volume game going. And I also think if he could potentially take him down, that could maybe be something that he could have to his advantage, but haven't really seen that from Canelo to really know how good he is on the ground. But ultimately, I am going to go with Kinoshita by decision, but this fight I definitely would stay away from. I wouldn't bet on either side personally. And moving into this next fight, I think this is actually a pretty good fight here with Pinazz. He's going to be taking on SD Dumas. And Pinazz, he debuted in MMA in 2020, and he had a career in Muay Thai and kickboxing before that, but he is moving pretty quickly. He's getting the chance to enter the UFC in less than 3 years as a pro. He has beaten 2 quality opponents in a row, and he's fought in Octagon MMA, which is probably the biggest MMA promotion in the Czech Republic. This is going to be the first time that he's traveling to fight in MMA, but he's fought overseas as a kickboxer, and he's a former Muay Thai champion. He had some fights in Glory, and his striking is impressive. He'll pressure forward, good 1-2s, pull 2s. He has really good speed and reflexes, and he's usually the longer, rangier fighter. In this fight, he's not going to have that luxury, but he likes to get in exchanges, extend the combinations, and pull counter, throw real nice body rips. He has good front knees. He'll even mix in kicks and close range where you don't really think they'll be effective, but they are for him. And when he can extend those combinations, he's successful because he finds those shots on guys. And he has a dangerous style, though, because he's very willing to stick in the pocket, and he can be flat-footed. I think leg kicks will be effective against him, and he also can get clipped just by being too comfortable in the pocket. But Pinazz, his grappling and wrestling is still to be determined. He has shown decent takedown defense in the clinch against the opponents that he's faced, but spent a ton of time with his back against the cage, and haven't seen him put on his back yet. I think, I don't know how his game is going to be off bottom, only being a pro for 2 years in MMA. I feel like potentially he could be a fish out of water on the ground. But so far, he's been able to wear out fighters that have tried to take him down against the cage and then finish them later in the fight. And his opponent, SD Dumas, he's also an impressive athlete. He has a good track record in MMA. He went 9-1 as an amateur. He also only had his one loss as an amateur, which was against Miles Lee, who's a CFFC champion. And as a pro, he hasn't fought any good opponents, really. But he's fought 3 below 500 fighters. In his last 3 fights, he's fought 3 fighters with winning records, but 2 of them were only 1-0. And his last opponent was 9-5. So nothing ultra impressive, but Cedricus Dumas is a difficult fighter to prepare for because super long, rangy fighter, very awkward style, has good counters, nice kicks. He throws and lands from weird angles, has a 79-inch reach. He's 6'3", and he's improved his grappling as well. He's good at using his length in the clinch control, hit takedowns. He has good back takes. He's really shown evolution in his grappling in his last fight. He was able to hit a takedown, get control time in every round. His one loss where he fought Miles Lee. Miles Lee is pressure wrestler out of that Henzo Gracie Philly camp, and it was only 2-minute rounds. Also, Dumas wasn't allowed to kick to the head, which he has real nice head kicks and front knees up the middle to the head that are dangerous. For some reason, it wasn't allowed in those amateur rule sets. And with the 2-minute rounds, Mosley just was able to kind of out wrestle him, take him down, and win in those real short burst rounds. But most of Dumas's opponents have been low level. But I believe Dumas has great intangibles. Very fast, athletic. He's huge. He dangerous with the striking with his kicks, and he has good takedowns, good back takes. His cardio is good hard durability, toughness. I still think high-level wrestlers can give Dumas issues. I also think he could struggle against super technical strikers, but his striking is awkward, so I think he can give issues to a lot of guys in the stand-up. And I think this is a good fight, and definitely should be one that's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to go with SD Dumas to get the win as the underdog. I feel that Pinazz is the better striker, but I think he's going to be comfortable in the pocket, and Dumas is going to land some counters. I also think Dumas is going to be successful with some low kicks. I have seen Dumas, get guys to the ground and dominate them there, whereas I haven't really seen the grappling game of Pinazz, and I feel like in the clinch with Dumas's height, he could potentially give some issues to Pinazz and actually get him down and then kind of exploit him on the mat. So I think Dumas is the more well-rounded fighter. He's the more experienced MMA fighter. Pinazz can maybe put on a striking clinic or land a big shot, but I'm going to roll with the fighter with more experience, the guy that I think is more well-rounded, more skilled, and pick SD Dumas to get the win. And moving it along here, in this next fight, we got Rodrigo Lydio is going to be taking on Mateusz Rebecchi. And with Rodrigo Lydio, we have a super fun fighter to watch. He's a sniper. He's knocked out almost every opponent he's defeated. He's won 4 fights in a row by knockout. And during that run, he won the Future MMA title with a 5th-round flying knee. His last fight, he got a real beautiful knockout in the LFA. And he's going to be making his way from Brazil to the United States for the first time. And this will be the first time he does not fight in Brazil. But at 33 years old, the time is now for him. He needs to get a win in that UFC contract. For Mateusz Rebecchi, he's one of the best prospects out of Poland. He's actually the currently number 1 ranked lightweight in Poland right now. And he's won 12 fights in a row. His last 5 fights have all been title fights. And he's beaten a lot of high-level fighters and guys with very solid records. As of now, all but one of his fights have been in the comfort of home. But it's going to be the first time he's in the United States and a huge moment for him. And for Rodrigo Lydio, he's a knockout artist, like you said, super long, rangy, one-punch knockout power, counter striker. Uses length to be on the back foot, catch fighters as they're coming in. He has real disgusting knees at the middle, uppercuts. He has a good timing on his counter hooks. His cardio holds up as well, stays dangerous and powerful for 3 rounds. His wrestling is where he struggles. If fighters can get in on his legs, they can usually take him down or hold him against the cage. But he does a good job mitigating damage. And he has good get-ups, good submission ability. Or no real submission ability, but his get-ups are okay. And he's been able to beat wrestlers by getting taken down early, then kind of getting the reads on how they enter for the takedown, finishing them with a knee or an uppercut. And as fighters get tired, they obviously shoot less and find it harder to take Lydio down also. And Lydio, he kind of reminds me of almost like Alex Pereira with his length and just that ability to get the KO. He's a pretty interesting fighter to watch. With Mateusz Rebecchi, we have a complete contrast in styles here. He's a grappler who likes to come forward and throw heavy punches. He'll throw nice 1-2s. He has power, 1-1-2s, heavy overhands, and just comes forward and throws heat. Tries to use his head movement and kind of short, compact, kind of Mike Tyson type of style to get inside and get the takedown. And I have watched him eat some heavy shots, trying to get inside, get dropped. He was knocked out in his 1 loss, but he's shown a good ability to recover quickly. And he's a strong fighter. When he can get fighters against the cage, he can get them down with a double. On top, he's pretty strong. He has a good side control, and he has good crucifix from there. He has good elbows. I wasn't able to find a lot of Rebecchi's fights, but he has good submission game. He has a lot of submissions on his record. He has 3 heel hooks. He has a heel hook as an amateur. He also has an armbar victory. I've seen him compete in some ADCC competitions. Cardio-wise, it looks like he has good cardio from the 1 fight I saw, but that only won in the 2nd round. And this is a fight right here where, honestly, it could go either way. I think Rebecchi is super vulnerable on the feet. He's hittable. He overextends, and he's very aggressive. and someone like Lydio is super long, fast, powerful. Rebecchi can't afford to take too many punches or knees or kicks. And Lydio has shown issues with takedown defense. So if he gets taken down by Rebecchi, he's going to be facing the best grappler he's ever fought. And Rebecchi throws damaging ground and pound. He has good submissions. So whoever can implement their game is going to be the winner here. I'm going to go with Lydio. And I think he's going to be able to land some big counters and probably knock out Rebecchi. And I'm going to say he gets a knockout in the first round here. And now we got our only female fight on the card with Victoria Dudakova taking on Maria Silva. And it's a pretty good one. Victoria Dudakova is a great prospect. She looks like the makings of a future UFC fighter. She's undefeated. She went 6-0 as an amateur, 5-0 as a pro so far. In her amateur career, she won the 2019 IMAF WMMA World Championships, which signified her as the best amateur 115-pound fighter in the world. And she also was a IMAF European champion. She was a Russian MMA champion. And she went pro in 2020. She debuted at Fight Nights Global. She got a submission finish. And finishes have been a trend in her pro career. She's been able to finish all of her pro victories. And she's been fighting solid opponents. Her last opponent was 4-1. She's making her way to the United States to fight for the first time. But she's already fought in Bahrain. She fought in Italy. So at least she's traveled to fight in the past. But this is going to be her first fight of 2022. And she's a grappler. She has strong submission game, sweep game. Good on top, good submissions, but she's a submission over position fighter. And when she gets in the mount or takes the back, I've seen her lose position by going for arm bars, but she's very comfortable off her back. She has faith in her ability to sweep or attack a submission from bottom. And she's been able to usually be effective with that, eventually sweep back to top position if she loses it and get the finish on top. Striking is a bit rudimentary. She comes forward with 1-2s, 3-2s, but she seems like she's getting a little bit more confident in her hands. She's throwing with more power, but definitely isn't a girl that's going to be looking to strike long-term with any opponents. And she's going to be using her 1-2, 3-2s to get girls to the fence to take them down. She's a little bit stiff, and I think definitely against Maria Silva, she's going to be vulnerable in the striking realm. But Maria Silva, it's going to be her second appearance on the Contender Series. In 2021, she fought Catherine Paparaki and dominated her. She won a decision, but she didn't get the contract, so she went out, took a fight earlier this year at Aries 4. She won that fight by submission. Then she got the call back to the show, and now she's at 8-0. With one win already on the Contender Series, I think if she wins, she's pretty much guaranteed the contract unless the fight's terrible. And prior to the Silva fight, or to the Paparaki fight, Silva had fought a lot of subpar opponents. But, you know, recently she beat a 6-0 girl. She beat Paparaki, so she's proven herself now, and I think if she gets a job done Tuesday, she's going to have proven enough to be a UFC fighter. She's a former kickboxing Muay Thai champion and an awesome athlete. She throws quick 1-2s, 3-2s, and she likes to end her combinations with body kicks, head kicks, good leg kicks. She has good counter too. She can control distance well with the straight punches. And like most Muay Thai fighters, though, she doesn't have the best defense. She can be a little bit flat-footed. She doesn't move her head the best. She can eat punches. She can eat leg kicks. She doesn't have issues brawling. In her last fight, she did get cracked with a few big shots, even wobbled a little bit, but her pressure was unrelenting, and she got the finish in the third round. And Silva's a beast in the clinch. She's super strong, really good clinch control, good body lock takedowns. She basically likes to kick from the outside. When fighters blitz in, she either lands that counter two, or she tries to work that body lock. And she has good ground and pound when she gets to the ground. And it's going to be interesting against a good grappler like Dudakova if Silva's going to want to engage in that clinch or get the takedowns. I feel like she will be the stronger girl, and I feel like she could get the takedowns if she wants to in this fight. But she did lose position a couple times against Paparaki, and she looked good off her back, though. I mean, she was able to get back up pretty quickly. And in her last fight, she also faced a grappler. She got taken down, and she did give her back trying to stand up and had to survive a deep rear naked choke, but showed good composure and was able to eventually get back up to her feet. I do think Silva, with, you know, being an explosive girl, she slows down a little bit, but she pushes a good enough pace. I think her cardio is good enough. Her last fight, she did get the third round finish. And Maria Silva's a beast. I definitely think she could be in the UFC. It's a fight where I believe both girls could actually have success in the UFC already. Dudakova needs to improve her striking, but she has good aggression, good grappling. And I haven't really seen her strike for long periods of time, but I think she's going to be at a huge disadvantage when this fight's at range. I think Silva's sharper. She's more tactical on the feet. And she reminds me of Tyler Santos a little bit, Maria Silva. I think her clinch game is awesome. super strong, and I think she can hold her own here on the ground as well. And I'm going to go with Silva. I think she's the better athlete, bigger, stronger, more experienced, big striking edge, can compete in the grappling. And unless she gets caught in a submission, I think she's going to get the job done. So I'm going to go with Maria Silva. And closing it out here with the Canadian taking on the current CFFC champion, Blake Builder. And Alex Morgan, very experienced guy. He's been close to getting the UFC before, and now this is a big opportunity to finally make that dream a reality. Morgan had his first amateur fight all the way back in 2020 or 2010, and he had a long, successful amateur career going 10-2-1 as an amateur. Morgan then as a pro had a really rocky start. He lost his first fight by rear naked choke, and then also lost his third fight by rear naked choke. He was 1-2 to start his UFC career, and he definitely needed a change. And he was able to find a spark, and he won 6 fights in a row, culminating in a win over former UFC fighter TJ Laramie. And Morgan had his 6-fight winning streak snapped after that when he fought Joa Nogueira, who's a very underrated flyweight, or very underrated 145er, that fought in, a lot of different promotions, had a lot of success. And he took a lot of time off after he lost to Charles Jourdain in 2018. He started his own gym, and then he came back in 2021. He's gone 2-0 since then. Last fight, he won the Samurai MMA title with the 4th round TKO. He's 31 years old now. He's 11-4. So I think this is his last chance to get into the big show, and he definitely has to fight like it. Coming out of TriStar, he's going to be ready. He's going to have a good game plan. So he's going to have to be the one that goes out there and does it in the cage. And Morgan, he does have some high-level wins over guys like TJ Laramie, and I feel like he's already proven he could probably fight in the UFC, but he just needs to show it here. He's a big featherweight, and usually Blake Builder is the bigger man in the cage, but Morgan's going to have the height advantage, size advantage, and he uses his length well. He will pressure forward with his jab feints, and when fighters close the gap, he stings them with the rear cross or the 1-2s. And Morgan, he does sometimes back up with his chin high. He can look to pull counter, and if the fighter can feint and then explode in or can just close the gap quickly, they can connect on him. Charles Jourdain was able to throw a rear cross that Morgan was able to slide out of the way of, but he was ready to plan and counter, and Jourdain followed the cross immediately with a spinning back fist, which floored Morgan. Morgan was able to not get knocked out, but he was very, very rocked. He panic wrestled and got guillotined. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to find Morgan's 2 more recent fights, but in his last fight, I did see the ending, and he finished with a nice combination against the cage with a left hook to the body. And as far as grappling goes, I haven't really seen him do too much grappling in his fights, but I do know he's a brown belt out of TriStar, so I think his grappling is going to be fairly high level. But he's not an offensive wrestler. He doesn't really initiate the grappling at all. And in this fight, I think he's going to control the distance, stop Builder from taking him down if he can, because I think that's going to be a big part of Builder's game plan. And Morgan's lost to Joe Nogueira. He was taken on several times. He got controlled, and he didn't really allow much damage or anything to happen on the ground, but Nogueira was able to just control him and win the decision. Nogueira is a much high-level wrestler and grappler than Builder. And Morgan, he has good experience. He's won a title in every promotion he's competed in as a pro. And, if the time is not now, then I don't think he's ever going to get it. So, yes, go out there and get the win to finally make some money in MMA. And Blake Builder is going to be trying to take that dream away from Alex Morgan. And he's the current CFFC featherweight champion. He went pro in 2018. And he has done well. He went he went amateur as his first amateur fight in 2012, went 7-0 as an amateur, and then he had some time off and then came back as a pro in 2018, and he's gotten unbeaten as well at 6-0-1. He did have a draw against a 3-3 fighter in 2018, and I watched that fight, and I definitely thought his opponent won, but he's came back, got 4 wins in a row, signed with the CFFC, and his first fight to the promotion was for the title. And he got that second round submission win to get the belt. Then he defended his belt in April. He knocked out Regivaldo Carvalho in the first or second round. And he's a one-time amateur champion. Now he's the CFFC champion. He is going to be looking to get in the UFC now. And I was able to find Builder's draw on Facebook. And the fact that if I was scored a draw is beyond me, really. I mean, first 2 rounds, Builder was taken down and controlled for almost the entirety of the round. Got no offense off. Third round, he did hurt him at the very end of the fight, but I felt as if he was losing the round all the way up until then, so I didn't think it warranted a 10-8, but Definitely was lucky to get a draw there. If you watch his fight against Kane Luger, you know, Bilder had some issues with the kicks of Luger for about a minute, but got the double and then was able to dominate on top, got to side control at a straight armbar. And then he fought for the title against Frank Buenafonte, and he was getting worked in that fight. I mean, in his first round, through a naked leg kick, he got taken down within the first 10 seconds, got controlled for the entire round. Second round, he got dropped hard very early, and then he got controlled against the cage for about 4 minutes, then got taken down, but he threw up a triangle and got the submission. So I did show he had a lot of heart, and he was able to, you know, come back at the win there. And he's active off his bottom, so fighters have to stay locked in for sure. But his fight with Regivaldo Carvalho, he got dropped twice in the first round, but he showed off more striking acumen because he was able to, you know, eat that, come forward in his crouch stance, explode in with those left hook, right hooks. And he definitely has power. He has good feints, good quickness. He'll come in with that straight right hand to the body, left hook to the head. He mixes in the kicks. He doesn't really set up his kicks well at all, and they do get him in trouble. But he was able to land that left hook, drop Carvalho, take the back. And then in the third round, when Carvalho was gassed, Bilder was able to press forward and knock him out. And Bilder's a pressure fighter. You know, he's short, compact, good speed, explodes in with that left hook, right hook, and good job ripping the body. Defense-wise, he's very square, holds his hands low, and doesn't move his head well. He gets clipped when he tries to come in, and he has a questionable chin. I've seen him get dropped in multiple fights, but he recovers quickly, and he's good when he gets on top. That's when he's at his best. Good back takes, good control. He can get taken down himself, especially off his kicks. And when he gets taken down, he will throw up submissions. But if he can't get him, he will get held down for the whole round. And I see this fight likely materializing in a finish. We have Blake Bilder, who has to close the distance to get inside on Morgan, who's a lot taller. And he's going to need to probably start by attacking the body to open up the hooks and get the takedowns eventually. Doing that is what's going to give Morgan his opportunities to snipe with his counters. Bilder's showing a questionable chin, and Morgan has popping his punches, so I think Morgan's probably going to win by TKO or club and sub. Bilder's undefeated, but I think he's due for a loss. He's stepping up in competition here. He does recover quickly, so Morgan has to be careful not to, you know, unload his gas tank if he hurts Bilder. But if he stays long, sharp, technical, I think the knockout will come. He's the bigger fighter, the more technical striker. For Bilder to win, I think he either has to clip Morgan with a big shot or hit a lot of takedowns, which I don't really see him being able to do either of those things. So I see Morgan probably being able to get the knockout. And I'm going to say he gets a first-round TKO in this one and probably earns a UFC contract. So there you have it, guys. Those are my 5 picks for Dana White Contender Series. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Going to be dropping my UFC France video coming up soon, so make sure to stay plugged into the channel for that. And outside of that, if you want to get access to the bets that I have on this card, I already have a bet for UFC France as well, and we'll have more bets. So if you want to check those out, check out patreon.com/MMAPredictionGuru. And besides that, you know, make sure to like the video, comment on the video, and yeah, later, guys.